Hey guys, welcome to Journey to a Whole Woman.
Yes.
Today we're going to be talking about being successfully single, and I have someone special with me, and this is my girl, Pastor Jeriel Prudent.
Hey.
Say hey.
What's up, y'all?
All right, so Pastor Jeriel Prudent is going to give us some tips on being successfully single. What does it mean to be successfully single? Tell the audience.
What does it mean to be single? What is the definition of single altogether?
All right, the definition of single, ladies, right, is not having a man. I'm assuming that's everybody's definition. Correct me if I'm wrong.
I mean, society doesn't consider single just not having a man.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when you're filing public papers, you have, it says, okay, what is your marital status? And it's either that you're single,
Mm-hmm.
and then the next step is what, married. Doesn't say boyfriend, doesn't say engaged. It doesn't say any of that. It says strictly single, married, divorced, widowed. Those are the only four options that you have.
Right.
So technically speaking, I think it's safe to say that even if you have a boyfriend and you're engaged or you're in a relationship, you're still considered single because you don't have a ring.
All right, ladies. So it means that, per what Miss Jeriel said, we are all technically single till we're
Right.
married. Right?
Right.
Right.
You know, let me add something in there. You know, it's cliche. We hear this all the time. People say, don't treat the guy as if he's your husband.
Mm-hmm.
Don't act like a wifey if there's no ring on your finger. So that's all of that. If you really analyze it, it's basically saying you are not, what's the word I'm looking for? Engaged. You're not committed to anyone really until they show that they want to give you a symbol of commitment.
Yes, I agree with that.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I agree.
So we all single because he ain't put a ring on it. Okay? We all single right about now. Now, I'm not trying to put nobody in no trouble with their boo. I'm not telling you to go to your boo and say, babe, don't tell him Pastor Gigi sent you.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just letting you know for, general knowledge
Right.
that you're single.
Yes, so all the single ladies.
All the single ladies. So we've set it up so everybody knows who they are now. Great.
All right, so let's give our audience some tips, and I'm looking forward to hearing, to how does one become and manage to be successfully single? Because a lot of women today and a lot of my friends in their 20s, late 20s, early 30s, they're having like heart palpitations because they're not married,
Mm-hmm.
or they don't even have a boyfriend, so they're struggling with that. And what tips or what advice would you give to those women who are not at ease or not happy because they're single?
Well, to begin with, now that we know what single is, now if we put successfully single together with that gives it a whole different outlook.
Mm-hmm.
And so, different people have different perceptions of what it means to be successfully single.
Mm-hmm.
Someone who, someone thinking about successfully single might be thinking that they could be with as many guys as they can and get away with it because they're not committed to nobody.
Mm-hmm.
So that could be someone's definition of being successfully single. Someone else's definition could be that they've been with this person for 10 years, 5 years. They have a consistent relationship with this person, but there's no commitment.
Mm-hmm.
They're living together. They're doing everything together. But the minute something happens and, the minute something goes wrong, they've already got in their mind that they have a way of escape.
Mm-hmm.
So if I'm thinking of being successfully single, I'm going to be speaking from the aspect of, I'm going to speak spiritually. I'm going to speak on the aspect of you as a person.
Mm-hmm.
What does it mean to be successfully single? So to begin with, to address the question that was brought up earlier, I believe that we have been under so much pressure in society where we are conditioned
Mm-hmm.
to think that if we're with someone, then we finally accomplished something.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so bad that it doesn't even go, the value of marriage is not as serious as it used to be, but we're not going to get into that. But just being with someone, period, for some reason makes us feel like we've accomplished something. And that's just society that's doing that to us. Here's what I mean. You graduate high school, you get into a good college, okay, and you're studying well. Everyone sees that you're successful because you're in school and you're working and you're doing good. You've gotten your own car. You're thinking about getting your own place. So what is the next step?
Marriage, of course.
So everyone is asking, let's start with with family members, aunts, uncles. When are you going to get married? Are you seeing somebody? Are you talking to someone? And so that pressure alone makes us feel like, well, yes, this is the next step. I've got everything settled. The next step is for me to be with someone. So now we find ourselves looking around, wondering who's going to talk to me next, or who am I going to talk to next.
So are you saying that we shouldn't want this? Are you saying
I'm not saying that.
Okay.
I'm saying that there is a gap between reaching what society says success, which is having that job, doing well financially, and then you have the other side, which is, and then you have, this is the first piece of that, and then you have this huge gap, and then you have meeting the man of your dreams. There's a huge gap there.
Okay.
So my thing is, the successfully single that we're trying to address here is within that gap. Okay? Now, this entire gap here, this should be us building us. Okay? This should be us really getting to know who we are. This should be us focusing on, maintaining our success, building our character, becoming this person who's independent without omitting the desire to be with someone and to share that with them. Forgive me. Being successfully single means I recognize that I'm living well right now. And it would be nice to have someone to share it with, but I don't have to have someone to share it with.
So it's not a necessity.
It doesn't
more
have,
of a want than a need.
It doesn't have to be a demand.
Okay, got it.
We are being placed under a demand in our society. Everywhere you look, somebody's with somebody. Everywhere you look, everything that you look at, everything that, even in advertisements, it's suggested that the only way that you can really enjoy this particular fragrance is if you put it on and you have someone to sniff at your neck a little bit. That's what our advertisements are conditioning us to believe. That's what media, society, everyone is conditioning us to believe, that we have to have someone with us. Okay. And if we don't, we're miserable. If we don't, we're incomplete. No, I refuse. No, I refuse to believe that it is another human being that's going to make me feel complete. No, right. When the two become one, you actually have to be whole. Because if you coming in 50 and I'm coming in 50, the both of us messed up.
So we both have to come in 100.
At least.
To make 100.
Yeah.
Okay, I got it. So society puts that in our faces, or exposes us to the idea that to be successful, you need a mate. And what you're saying right now is that is incorrect. We need to find ourselves. We need to be happy. We need to fill in our own gaps. And once that is done, then we wait. Once we fill in that gap, once we're complete, once we feel like we are 100% whole, do we then wait?
While you're doing that, you're waiting. We have to redefine wait.
Okay, please redefine wait for me.
Wait, for us right now, we're thinking, okay, I'm preparing myself, I'm getting myself done, and and we're kind of peeking, at we're trying to see if we can see the end of the road. That's what wait is for.
We take a goddamn microscope.
Like, baby,
and
I
a telescope, right? And be like,
like,
yeah, where's that?
that's what our weight is. And you know what it's doing to us? It's not helping us. You want to know what it's doing to us? It's causing frustration. It's causing low self-esteem. It's causing us to fall into depression. It's causing us to lose confidence in ourselves. It's causing us to question whether we're beautiful. It's causing us to question if we are intellectual. It's causing us to question if we're even desirable.
Yes.
Was that?
Totally
You felt that? I felt it just now. I just felt the whoop. It's causing us to think that we are not desirable because we're trying to see what's at the end of the road. And we're not noticing that there are so many hurdles. There are so many things that we could overcome right here in this gap. And I'm going to give you a small illustration. There is a biblical character. Her name is Ruth, and some of us may be familiar with her. Some of you may not. So here's a quick snippet of her story. Ruth married a handsome man who happened to be outside of her own religious background and outside of her culture. So basically, she married. She was in a what do they call those? She was in a interracial relationship, you can say. Okay, and it seems that she was in a good relationship. We don't know what it was like. All we know is the story begins with her losing her husband. Okay, and so her sister was also married to the brother of her husband, so they basically were like one big family. And so the mother-in-law, the two sons die, and so they leave these three women widowed. And so what happens is, the mother-in-law's like, let me send you guys off. And so here it is that one of the daughters goes her separate way, and Ruth decides to stick with the mother-in-law. Long story short, she tells the mother-in-law, your people will be my people. Your God will be my God. Where you go, I will go. I'm going to be with you, period. So she makes this amazing commitment to her mother-in-law. That's a whole other topic. Now, fast forward. They go back to the mother-in-law's land, okay? And so here is Ruth living in a culture, in a land that is completely foreign to her. Some of you might find yourselves in a situation like that right now. You might be in a situation where you feel everything in your surroundings is foreign to you, but you're living in it. And the thing is, Ruth was in that situation and she was living successfully. She was working hard. She was working in the fields. She was up early mornings, grinding, came home at night and put food on the table. Listen, Ruth went to school. She got that associate's. She got that bachelor's degree. Listen, Ruth became that entrepreneur with no academic background to back up the level of success that she had in entrepreneurship. Listen, Ruth is making money, okay? She got it. She got things going on right. And interesting enough, nowhere in there did it say that Ruth was looking for anyone. It is just understood that she's a successful woman. She was a successful single woman. See, her focus was not if someone will ever find me. Her focus wasn't when will someone notice me. Her focus wasn't, oh my God, I have no one next to me. No. Her focus on her singleness was, I am going to be the best person I can be right now.
Right.
And she served her family. She served herself. She served her community. She was focused on just being the better version of herself that she could be. That's it.
Right.
And being successfully single is just that. It's not about focusing on the fact that you are alone. Right. No. It's focusing on the fact that you have an opportunity to build yourself up, to build your name,
yes,
to build your business,
yes,
to build your finances.
Yes.
That's what successfully single means. It's not omitting that you have a desire to be with somebody. Rather, it's understanding that the desire is there. And so if I want to be a good mate to this man, if I want to be the best wifey I could be, I have to start by acting like it right now.
Right.
Because he's going to want someone who can hold the house down.
Right.
If I'm over here focusing on the fact that I ain't got no boo right now and I'm stressed and I'm frustrated, you know what I'm saying? And I'm over here thinking, you're wasting time focusing on the wrong things. Because don't no man want somebody who's nagging.
Yeah, I agree.
And you know what else? Something just popped up in my head just now, Tanya. Sometimes we're so focused on the fact that we're single and we want somebody. And the next person that comes along, we're willing to open up, to get to know them, or to let them come in to see how far they'll pursue us. And so they pursue us. Or we pursue them. You know, in today's society, it goes both ways, whichever way you prefer. But listen, you're going to end up with just that. A quickie. You're going to end up with just that. And there are a lot of women that I have heard their testimonies.
Oh, yes.
They end up having to put on the pants in the relationship.
Yes.
Now, not everyone. Notice I said some, you know. They end up having to put on the pants in the relationship because they did not focus on themselves. When I say they did not wait, I want to say they did not wait. Remember what my definition of wait was. They did not wait, meaning they did not build themselves when they had that gap.
Yeah.
They mismanaged the gap that was actually a gift.
Right. Time.
So my question to you would be, how do you, after listening to this, how are you going to manage this gap, which is called your singleness? I'm not saying not to date. Not at all. Honey, I ain't trying to keep you from your man. You never know. After watching this here video, your wait might be over, baby. You know what I'm saying? You just might sit there and do your gap just might be between now and tomorrow at 8 p.m. and then you find your boo. You know what I'm saying? But because you changed your focus, it's all about changing your focus. When I say wait, what is my motive in waiting? What is my end goal? My end goal as I wait is to prepare myself to be the best woman that I could be to this man.
Right.
So while I'm over here making a list and I'm saying, I want him to be like this, and, I pray that he has this quality and he this and he that, he's handsome. When I touch him, I feel like I'm touching a man. When just, whatever it is you want, you put that in a list. But did you think about who he might want to be with? What type of woman he's hoping that he could build a life with? It's not enough for us to just focus on him being the man of the household. What about him having a supportive wife? With
financial stability. Hold on, let's put the list down. Financial stability, good credit, maybe in shape, because nowadays guys, they want a woman, who's in shape, who works out, who eats healthy.
I don't know about all that, boo, because some of them want somebody curvaceous that could just, so they can grab on to something, I don't know about all that.
Look, I mean, to each his own, right?
You know who you want to be for him.
Right. And who can cook. Don't forget the cooking now. Men like women who cook,
But sometimes you got to know how to press the start and express 2 minutes. I'm not preaching good to somebody.
That too.
Because some of us don't know nothing about salt and water, okay?
Listen, you better
I'm vouching for you right now. I'm vouching because Tommy over here. I'm vouching for you.
You better go to Google. Let me tell you, my brother-in-law is always like, Tanya,
pick up a recipe
Google
book.
some recipes, okay? I'm going to need you to Google some recipes. So for those who don't know how to boil an egg, I'm going to need you to Google how to boil an egg, okay? But anyway.
But you have to remember that while we're over here putting this list together for the man of our dreams,
right,
we have to also start putting a list together for ourselves.
Right.
Don't be an overachiever. Be realistic. You know, list your strengths, list your weaknesses, and start working towards those. And eventually you will start to fall in love with who you are.
Right.
You have to fall in love with you. That's successfully single.
Right.
You have to fall in love with your abilities and who you are and what you can do and what you can offer to the table. You have to know what you can offer to the table, because when he comes and he asks you, who are you? Because he's already attracted to your shape. He's already physically attracted to you. He's already he's already marveled by just looking at you. Now he wants to peel that back and he wants to know who you are.
Right.
You can't be stuck there and you stuttering trying to figure out what to say.
Right.
You have to know. And you'll be surprised, he'll be impressed. Because if he's serious, he's gonna want to know.
Right.
Let me go back to Ruth. Ruth was busy handling that gap. She wasn't focused on nobody. And it just so happened that in her workplace, right where she was working, right there in the fields where she was toiling every single day, she was there on time. She was a woman of integrity. She was a virtuous woman. It didn't start overnight. She built herself to that. She set standards for herself. And she had a mother-in-law who was a good coach. You need to be successfully single, you need a mentor.
Yes, amen to that. I definitely agree.
You need someone who can pour life into you. You need someone who has to love you so much that they ain't intimidated by you. The minute you start getting smart, they can sit there and look at you like, boo, I ain't the one.
Right.
To be successfully single, you need someone who could pull the reins. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And so that's who Naomi, the mother-in-law, was for Ruth. And eventually, and this is where I'm going to close it right here. While she was toiling in the field, it just so happened that the owner of the field was, doing his daily duties. And just one day, it just so happened to be that very day, he happened to walk in the field, Tanya, and he said, wait a minute. Look at Shawty. Who's this? Who is this piece? Who's this diamond? Down on her knees, working so hard. And the men in the field, they were like, oh, she's a hard worker. Her name is Ruth. She's in here every day on time, works hard. She doesn't pay attention to anyone. She does what she has to do. To be successfully single, you need a good reputation. People need to be able to speak well of you. Because before he comes to you, he's going to be asking everyone connected to you, who is this woman?
True. Very true.
That's the first thing he does. He's going to ask around. Because he wants to know what he's getting into. Next thing he says, oh, okay. And so he starts to pursue her, and he starts to pay attention. And so Ruth is noticing, this man is paying attention to me. He a little into me. And so she's like, what do I do? She goes to Ruth. Ruth asks her, she goes to Naomi, and Naomi asks her, well, this is what you have to do. And so she follows the instructions. And eventually, you know what happens? Boaz takes her in. Not only was she successfully single, she went from successfully single
to successfully married. And that's another.
She obtained Boaz. She got the man. She got the man that owned the field. Baby, you need a man that owns something. As you focus on yourself, as you build within that gap, as you understand how important it is for you to know you, little by little, everything else will fall into place.
Well, we would like to thank you, Pastor Jeriel Prudence, a.k.a. G, that's G, for the words that she has imparted on all you guys. And I hope
you were blessed.
Yes, I hope you were blessed. I hope it meant something for you. The journey to being successful and the journey to marriage is a very, very challenging journey.
But it's doable.
It definitely is. Thanks for tuning in, and talk to you guys again. Bye.